Hello, everyone. Good morning. I can see that you are starting to get into the room, this virtual room. So while we give it a few more minutes so that we allow for the registered participants to join us, I just want to give you like a few words of introduction. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this first part of our two-part DocTalent4EU workshop series. Today, we'll be focusing on digital credentials and the work that the DocTalent4EU project has been doing in this area and in this regard, particularly when it comes to the recognition of skills for advancing doctoral education across Europe. Let me introduce myself first. So my name is Deborah Luque. I work for the European University Foundation, which is one of the project partners of the DocTalent4EU project. And joining us today, there is also João Pedro Pego, who is from the University of Porto. And he is the one who has been leading the work package related to the digital credential. Before diving into the presentation, I would like to just give you a few housekeeping rules and points just to keep in mind. As you might have also read from the waiting room, this webinar is being recorded. And we will share with you later on also the recording in case you might have missed, some points or you would like to rewatch it. We also encourage you to ask questions throughout the workshop itself. You can submit a question using Slido, and we will share the QR code shortly. Or if you prefer, during our Q&A session, which is towards the end of this workshop, you will be able to raise your hand and ask questions directly to João. Finally, I just want to remind you that all the slides that you will see during this workshop and any other additional materials that we prepared for you, such as guides on how to issue credentials or guides on how to use credentials, mostly directed for doctoral students, and any other additional material will be sent to you in the after the webinar. So you will have plenty of resources also to refer to afterwards that can guide you further into your journey of implementing digital credentials. So now I would like to just spend a brief words on introducing João Pedro Pego from the University of Porto. As I was mentioning, he has been instrumental in leading the development of the work package 3 on digital credentials and the DocTalent digital credentials. He's his deep expertise and practical experience make him the ideal person to guide us and walk us through these credentials and how they're issued within the DocTalent4EU. And they're also it's also essential to offer guidance on how your institution can implement them as well. So now I would just give the floor then to João so that he can, without any further ado or any other words, share with you what has been his journey so far and share how he's been able to issue and to allow also the DocTalent4EU partners to issue the digital credentials. So João, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Deborah, for your kind words and your gentle introduction. We have here a 90 minutes available slot time, and I would like to use this 90 minutes in the best way possible. I have quite a lot of slides, but to be honest, I don't intend to show them all. What I would like to do with you is to show how to use it in practice, the digital credentials, and in particular, the European digital credentials for learning, which is on the basis of our DocTalent4EU digital credentials. I'm going to start showing my slides. So yesterday everything was running smoothly. I hope that today we also don't have any hiccups and that we can have a fruitful working session. So first of all, I hope you see my presentation, and we are working within the project DocTalent4EU, and today we're going to see how to issue digital credentials. Our agenda starts by after the introduction on how we perceive the role of digital credentials in doctoral education, and then to follow a step-by-step tutorial and issue a digital credential at the end. Obviously, some of the steps I'm going to explain them briefly, but I will not show them how to accomplish them because they would take too long. So for that, we have prepared a step-by-step tutorial, PDF on how to issue these credentials. And finally, we would like to start sharing with you what you need to know on how to adopt digital credentials. So we have already had some 2 years experience, and some things went right, some things didn't went so well. So that's what we like to share with you. And finally, we have the questions and answers and conclusions of our seminar, of our workshop. So let me start to introduce you the DocTalent4EU consortium. This is 8 institutions. EUF is the only non-higher education institution, but is a fantastic partner. It helps us promote our work and disseminate our work. Besides EUF, we have University of Porto in Portugal, the University of Alcalá in Spain, University of Iași in Romania, the University d'Azur, which is our consortium leader in France, University of Limerick in Ireland, and then HVL and UIT in Norway, two Norwegian universities. And our project aims to enhance PhD employability using an innovative recognition system for highlighting the most in-demand transferable skills that PhD candidates that are also trainees will acquire during the project as for their career development. So I'm going to talk about Work Package 3 or the results of Work Package Ds on how to issue digital credentials, which are intrinsically related with Work Package 2, where we implemented a set of 3 pilot courses on transferable skills for doctoral candidates. So these 3 training courses are on effective communication, negotiation, science diplomacy, on team networking and team working and networking, and finally personal effectiveness and leadership. So 6 universities have developed and implemented these courses. Porto has worked with Alcalá to develop this personal effectiveness and leadership course, and that's the example I'm going to bring into our workshop. One other issue that is very relevant for the DocTalent4EU project is that we would like to relate these transferable skills, transversal skills, with the ESCO skills dataset, and that's why you see here on the second column these skills that were identified, the proposal onset. The ESCO data skills dataset also has evolved during our project. So the newest version is slightly different, and we have already incorporated in our work. So I'm going to give you a few seconds just to highlight that we will use Slido to have some live feedback on any question and answer. So I will leave that task of managing these questions more to Deborah, but I will introduce you this QR code right now. So I hope that everybody had their time. So anyway, in the due time, we will still show these QR codes in a few minutes again. So I think I may move on. So what is the role of digital credentials in doctoral education? So let's start by defining what European Digital Credential for Learning is, which is the basis for our work. It's a standardized tamper-proof electronic document, or allows to create a standardized tamper-proof electronic document. And this obviously is irrelevant because it will make sure that someone reading that document knows that the institution issuing the document is a true institution, is not a forgery that you are looking at, and obviously that the description of the owners of that document, so the specific set of skills or learning outcomes that he or she has acquired during a training, either formal, non-formal, or informal, that this person indeed has these skills. What kind of elements does a European Digital Credential or EDC has? So first of all, it describes the activities that the owner conducted or attended. Obviously, these activities together with the assessments, they allow to demonstrate the learning outcomes achieved, and this will then result in achievement like a course completion or title completion. So besides achievements, it also can describe entitlements and attestations. In our particular case, since our courses are small, we are not using very complex, let's say, digital credentials. Although within Deliverable 3.1, where we describe the process of issuing the digital credentials, we have gone through all the fields and the metadata that is possible to include. So once you have the metadata about the digital credential prepared, and you join the metadata about the owner and the database of the issuer, you can seal it using a so-called electronic seal, and then it becomes tamper-proof. So how is the workflow of information running? So in order to have a learning achievement completed, you need to be assessed by some means that prove you reached these learning outcomes. And obviously, to learn, you need to have activities that lead to the completion of the achievement. And then after you have achieved something, you can prove your learning outcomes. And if you want to be more complex, you can prove the entitlements you have. So these are the basics of EDCs. This is an example of a digital credential, how it looks. Here I'm showing pictures, but this is a 2-page PDF. And this is what's the part that is shareable. You see here our template that we are using for our work pets, for our consortium, our project. This is a personal effectiveness and leadership digital credentials that we have prepared. And you have a front page that is, let's say, customizable with your logo, your institution, need whatever information you would like to include here. And then there is a second page that certifies the authenticity of the document. So if everything is running smoothly, if this document is for real, then everything will be on green here and verified. And moreover, it has this comfortable QR code and the link here that can be used to show, let's say, the detailed content of the digital credential. I'm not going to go further on this step, in the sense that my idea is to issue a digital credential online with you. And so that means that at a certain point further on in the workshop, I will have the opportunity to show you how to look at these credentials more in detail. So just to see what we will result. Obviously, this is a comfortable document that, as you will see, has condensed information, is a summary, but also allows anyone that is willing to know a bit further to go into the details following that link that I mentioned. But I will come to that in a couple of minutes later on the workshop. So we would like now to ask you a couple of questions, and we ask you to join the Slido. Deborah, you could help us track the results. Shall I move on to
Yeah, I
the
think you can move to the
next
next.
slide? Okay. So here we would like to hear about if you ever heard about European digital credentials. So, okay. So numbers are coming. So clearly a majority heard about these EDCs before. although a non-negligible number hasn't. By the way, European digital credentials are not the only possibility. Another alternative we are also using, although I'm not going to talk about it today, is Open Badge, which is a standard from Mozilla Foundation. It has different, let's say, companies producing these open badges. Okay, I think we reached probably the top. So a 2-to-1 more or less. Okay, a bit more. So 30% hasn't heard about it, 70 have. Okay, that means we have a good mix here, but in general, people have heard about it. By the way, European digital credentials are, let's say, promoted by, it's a work done by the Direct General of Employment, the European Union. So it's a European Union funded project as well. So the next question is, does your institution plan to use digital credentials? Yes, no, we are already using them is also a possibility. Um, so it seems clear that a large number wants or plans to use the credential, but in only a few number is, let's say, not as implemented already, and an even lower number is, oh, more or less, okay. So I think we reach, so that's nice. So this mimics a bit the trend we know about from our own context. That is, many institutions that are planned. There is also, let's say, a push from the European Union, from the European Commission, to promote micro credentials, and digital credentials are, let's say, one of the pieces of this micro credential system or ecosystem. So it's clear that some people are planning to use, other already using them. Okay, I think we can move on, Deborah. Yeah, all right. Thank you very much for your share. So how to issue DocTalent4EU digital credentials, which, like I said, is based on the European digital credentials for learning of the European Union. So this is the, let's say, the scheme that we have looked at for the workflow. Um, First of all, there are several ways to issue European digital credentials. We are going to look at the online credential builder. This one you can do by hand. The software is on a server. You don't need to install any software. Actually, yeah, you don't need to install any software, but you do need some interfaces. And you can do it all online. We will see there are a lot of advantages, but also that there are some disadvantages we should look at. So in order to create a digital credential, you need to create a template first. The template is built from different elements on the organizations involved, on the accreditation scheme and accreditation organizations that are involved. And if you are going to create or if you're going to issue entitlements or not. And then obviously you need to have some kind of achievement. Uh, Activities are mandatory. Learning outcomes are also more than desirable. Assessments may or may not exist. If we are talking about informal training, for example, in helping a lab course, doesn't have an assessment per se, but is an activity that has some learning outcomes and conducts to an achievement. And then in terms of types of digital credentials, at the moment, that the ones that are active are accredited and generic. The ones we are using are the ones in a generic because they are not accredited. There was, and they are still, I think, on the track to be in the future diploma supplements, but at the moment they are not active. So you create first the EDC template, then you need to join the recipient's metadata to get, let's say, the credential created, and then you need to seal it with a qualified or an advanced electronic seal to, let's say, make it tamper proof. And then you have your European digital credential, which can move directly into the Europass CV of the owner if he or she has it and supplied the associated email address. The digital credential can be visualized in a viewer and shared in employers, in social media, whatever. I mean, the imagination is your limit. And there is the idea behind these digital credentials is that the owner of the credentials, so the trainee, will have, let's say, full control over who can and when can that person see the data on the digital credential. So they are owners of the data. Let me check the time. So first of all, coming back a few minutes, one slide. This step, qualified electronic seal, is not complicated. Actually, it's quite simple. It's also not costly, but it's essential. Without this electronic seal, you will not be able to issue any kind of digital credentials at least TDC platform. And this is important. This will work as a stamp, a seal. In Portuguese, we would call it a white seal. So it's like for paper would be this kind of emboldment seals that you print or that you impress into the paper. And basically this is the seal that guarantees that the institution, let's say, issuing the credential is the one that is stated in the PDF. Without this seal, nothing happens, and this is something you need to acquire. And you need to acquire the adequate electronic seal. So we can have qualified or also advanced electronic seals. At the moment, we are using a qualified electronic seal. And you may ask yourself, where do I buy these? Well, you can click on this link. Let's hope it brings me to the right place. I think I'll have to, I'm trying to, sorry, this is always, I have to turn off exit full mode. So this way it's easier for me. And so in this web page from DIDAS dashboard, you can identify who is, let's say, providing the seal. So qualified certificate for electronic seal is a possibility. And the next step, you choose in which country you want to buy the seal. In my case, it's Portugal. I'm come from Portugal and working here. And there you find 4 suppliers. What we did in our case is we contact all 4 suppliers and ask them what kind of electronic seals they have. They could come in different formats. They can come on a USB dongle, on a smart card, like the one I have here, for example, and they can come also on server installed software and also on the cloud. We opted for a physical support because it helped us a bit more controlled, and we were a bit afraid that if it's a software solution that is not installed on our servers, which is one of the possibilities, this could be a bit tricky. Also, you should be careful. So all from these 4, 3 of them are commercial institutions. One of them is the government, let's say, company that is working only for digital certificates, as the one, for example, issuing the digital certificates for digital signatures. So going back to our presentation, um, so this is one step that you need, the electronic seal. You need to acquire beforehand. This step is important, is essential. It's important also that you do with a bit of time, because somebody is going to, let's say, commit institution in behalf of that institution. In our case, it was our dean. So it needs obviously the support from the administration. Otherwise, you can get this certificate on an individual basis. I, João Pedro Pego, would not be able to ask a certificate on my name or on behalf of my university or my faculty. So we need always the support from, let's say, the administration, the executive board, in order to go forward with this step. You will also need a piece of software called Nexo. It's open source, if I remember correctly. You can download the file and you don't need to install it. It's a JavaScript. Java is cross-platform. That means it will work on Windows, it will work on Linux, it will work on Apple, on Macs. So it's a cross-platform. It allows for everybody to work. In Windows, you will see a small key here when working. So I will show that in a few seconds. And then you can use that software to make the interface between the online credential builder website and the hardware that is reading or where your electronic seal is stored. So finally, coming to the online credential builder, you will still find in the web page from the European Digital Credentials for Learning platform two environments, the playground and the production. The playground, it was used for training purposes using a mock seal, so not an electronic seal, but something you create on your own. I, I still left this slide because it's still available on the documentation, but this is no longer a possibility, so they are not accepting any more mock seals, and this is obviously a bit of a, let's say, a loss of opportunity, but I understand that for security reasons they had to go there. And then you have the production environment where you can issue digital credentials. Since um, it the things you create in the playground do not transfer automatically to the production environment, I suggest that you start by acquiring the seal and then using the production environment immediately. That's my suggestion at the moment from our experience. So once you have the software installed, so electronic seal and Nexus, Nexus doesn't need to install, but you need to have it available and you need to run it. You can use the DCI issuer. So the next slides I have here, they will be, let's say, available to you as a reference, but we will follow these live. So I'm going to pick up, oops, sorry. I would like to see if I don't know how it doesn't open link in a new window. All right, that works. So this is the Europass website. It's where the EDC is also, let's say, centralized. Running here into the online credential builder or to the, that's actually the right name is EDCI issuer. Here you're going to have three possibilities. You can test your electronic seal. I'm not going to do this because for time reasons. Then you have the online credential builder, and you can also upload unsigned credentials that somebody prepared for you and sign with your the electronic seal. So I'm going to start here. I need to make the login. In order to make the login, you need to have an European login. It could be the Europass login. It could also be the login you use for the any EU project, any interaction with the EU pages, the same login will work. So here we arrive to the online credential builder. This is, let's say, your interface. And here we start with the credentials interface, but I'm going to start first with the elements. So within the elements, you can include a lot of information. This basically is metadata that you are creating for your different digital credentials. You can have some of the elements shared by different credentials. You don't need to have one. And this is the, let's say, the version where we have where we are using these manually. So a person is manually inserting the data. You can do this automatically, but we haven't explored that part in our project. It was out of the scope of our project on the other hand, it needs a bit of work on IT development on to transfer the open source version of this software into your own servers. So what kind of elements you can have? So like I said, you can include achievements. I The order where you start is a bit, it's not random, but it's not fixed. If you need some sub element for a higher level element, you can do that. But I recommend to start from the bottom. So I think learning outcomes is one of them that are relevant. These are relatively simple. So these are the learning outcomes of our course on personal effectiveness and leadership. And for example, if you enter one of them, you will see this is relatively simple. You can say what is the title, the type of, if it's a skill or a knowledge, its reusability, and also the ESCO skills that are, let's say, related with these outcome. Also, you can have other frameworks other than the ESCO skills, but we haven't still found a good use for this one. But you can, for example, put just if you just use the name, you can add, let's say, skills that are not included in the ESCO skills, at least with the same names you expected. So I'm going to cancel, not change anything. So learning outcomes allow you, these are some piece of the elements, some of the elements. Other elements are activities. So activities could be simple like in-person training, online self-motivated study. Here in the activities, you can include the description, if there is a starter date, the volume learning in terms of hours, for example, the level of completion. This level of completion can be left to be included afterwards when merging with the metadata of the trainee, types of activities, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of elements. Like I said, in deliverable 3.1, we described each of these fields in detail, and I hope it's not outdated already. And these are the type of activities you like to include. Other elements are, for example, assessments, and then learning outcomes, activities, assessments build your achievements. In our case, the achievement would be completion of the course. If you have multiple courses, you can then say, okay, courses that in total correspond to 120 ECTS credits could give you the title of master in something. So this is how wide the range of applications we can have for digital credentials. In our case, we have short courses, 1.5 credits as points, so it's relatively similar. They don't give entitlement to anything. A piece of an important element is the HTML information, where you define, basically is where you customize the web page, the front page of your digital credential. I'm going to jump the details. Like I said, we don't have time for everything. So once you have all the elements built, and I suggest that you build the elements first, you can create your digital credential. And here you can say when it starts, when it ends, what kind of credential, and then you can associate the achievements or activities and entitlements. You in this particular case, all the activities and assessments were, let's say, a sub unit of the achievement, so everything is already included here, and so I didn't need to put much more here. But you can add different stuff into the digital credential. So I'm not going to show all the details here because there is not enough time for that. In the step-by-step guide, what we did is we use one of our courses as an example, and then we give examples for each of the steps and which kind of data we inserted for the digital credential. This takes a couple of hours. It's not something that it's run very easily. So what I advise you is pick your own example. You can pick someone else's examples, but pick up something you know already, a course you know already, and start trying to figure out what you can include there. I can attest that the number of fields you can include is very rich, so you can have you can be sure you're probably going to get a very good, let's say, connection between what you want to do and what is possible to do. There are a couple of limitations. I have to highlight here that we had a very fruitful talk and communication with the support team of the EDC platform, and they were excelling every time. They answer very quickly, a couple of hours to no more than 2 days, and they even change some of the software to go within our request. So for example, we have 1.5 credit points for our course, and initially it was not possible to put decimal points, and we said, look, this is a limitation for us, and they changed that part. So this is, I have to say, I'm more than comfortable to endorse this software because of this aspect, which is always crucial. So once the credential is prepared, the template is prepared, we can start issuing the credential. I will show you the manual version. So we start by pressing the issue button. And here you have the opportunity to select data that is, let's say, not mandatorily included before, I'm not going to change that. I'm just going to put this data, the first name, family name, and then the email's address. And since there is an assessment, I'll need to put a grade, all right? You can include data at this stage. You can include data one by one. You can include one trainee by one by one. You can include more than one individually, or you can download an Excel template file and upload these, or a CSV file is the same, and upload these into the server. So in our case, for example, the last time we issued credential, we had 10 trainees. So we put an Excel file with the first name, last name, email addresses, and then the grades, and upload these to the server, and it worked fantastically. So in this case, I'm just going to use artificial person. Well, it's not an artificial person, but it's not a living person. I think Desiderius Erasmus. I think everybody knows this fantastic person. I'm going to use my email address because I would like to show you how this let's say goes directly to the Europass CV, right? So here I'm going to put a grade in the Portuguese system. So you need to describe the grading system. So I'm going to put accordingly, and I have to confirm that I'm allowed to use this data, of course. And then here I'm including the metadata of the individual, the trainee, the owner of the credential, and the previous step I had created the metadata of the digital credential. Now I'm going to merge them. Takes a couple of seconds. Take the opportunity to drink. Sorry. And then we arrive to this stage. Here you can already have a visualization of sorry, the credential. I'm not going very further into this because I'm going to have another opportunity in a couple of minutes. And now I'm not going. If you are certifying by in the name of on behalf of some other organization, you can opt here. I will not use any of these options here. What I'm going to do is to seal the credential. You see, in order for the next step to happen, I need to have Nexus available. You see here Nexus is here highlighted in my desktop, and then I'm going to start issuing. So it will show me. So the recommended way is to use the Windows key store to watch which to select the credentials. In this case, it will be on the smart card, but that's not the main issue here. The recommended by the support team is to use the Windows key store. Then you will see here different credentials. The one that I like is this credential name of the faculty. In the next step, it will show you the data that is available in the electronic seal. So it states that it's the Faculty of Engineering. It's always connected, with a VAT number, and the date of the time of issuing and location of issuing is being provided as well. So then the next step, a window will show up. Now I have to put the PIN number of the card. Obviously, this PIN number is not to be shared, obviously, and I hope I did the right one. Done. So now the digital credential is sealed. It's valid already. I still haven't shared with my part. I would like to go to, I thought I had my Europass here, to be honest. I think I have it here. So I already have login to the Europass platform. Here is my CV. In one in your if you have an Europass CV or your Europass account, one of the important features is my library. And since I'm using EDC to issue the credential, when I send it to myself, it will show up here in the certificates and diplomas. So I'm going back to this page, and here I'm going to send you the CV, the credential. So it takes a couple of seconds. So two things will happen. I will, on the one hand, receive two emails with a digital credential and a JSON format file that I can upload to the viewer. And the other one is I'm going to receive the credential directly in my CV. I hope everything works fine. I'm going to refresh it. Let's see, it happens. There it is. Okay, so I didn't do anything. It goes automatically because I provided the adequate email address. So you can ask, let's say, your trainees to have to send you to email address, the personal address for whatever reason, and or the institutional address. And in any case, ask for the address, email address that is associated with their CV, Europass CV, because this way they receive the digital credential automatically. So it's a bit faster. Here you can click here and you will go to the digital credential viewer, and all the metadata that is inserted into the digital credential will become available. Okay, I hope it works. Oh yeah, taking longer than desirable. Um, Oh, why it's not working? Let me try. Let me try a different approach. Let's hope it works. So uh, I will start with the sharing, because after sharing you can also do other stuff. So going step back, you can share the digital credential. And here I'm going to put my dream job. So you can put the organization, you can put a reason for sharing, and you can put a date where it's going to be available. I'm going to put till the end of this year, and you can generate a link, and you can use this link to access the credential. You can come here and okay, now it worked. Fantastic. And these links allows you to see the digital credential. You see that everything is fine, validity is okay. You can have the data on the issuer, all the internal, all the metadata of the issuer is here available. You have here the seal. This information from the seal is automatically included, so you don't need to put this metadata. It comes with the electronic seal. You can see the data on the digital credential here. We had the description of the achievement, the learning outcome summary. And one thing that was also important for us, because we were requested during the project, was to include the research com skills. And since these are not, there is no, let's say, no direct way to do that, including digitally, we include them in the description of the achievement. And you can also go look each of the different learning outcomes individually, what are the ESCO skills associated, and so on and so forth. And you also look at what the number of hours attended, the blended type of mode of learning, and the languages involved, the EQF level, if it was formal training, informal, the duration, and the learning activities and type of assessment that were done. So if going for learning activities, you see here where it happened, who issued these, let's say, who attested this happened. In this case was the same faculty, level of completion, if it's in person or not, online self-motivated study, and so on and so forth, type of reporting, and the grades. So we are just looking at one single course, but you could be looking at multiple courses within a master level, for example. You can also use this page to export the file. And here is, at least it's the only way to have done that I was able to do this, is using the EuroCV to export the file as a PDF. And here you export it, and it will produce a PDF, I hope. All right, it worked fantastically. And you see then the PDF that I mentioned before. Here, this web page is customizable. I included the logo of our faculty. I included the background of the project. I included these keywords here certifies that completed training was customized by us. This is automatically inserted, the course as well. And then you have this QR code and the link that will bring you to the viewer of the credential. And this could be shared online very easily. And so you see all the steps necessary to create, and then you saw also an interesting way on how to share the credential. So I've shown you both sides, the issuer, so you'll be the institution, and the owner, which will be the trainee that is going to get the credential. I think this more or less completes the step-by-step tutorial. I'd like to go back to our presentation if I find it. Yes, I think I did. So I'm going to jump most of the slides now because I've shown them how to do them online. I'm just going to leave them here for you to as a reference. There is, like I said, there is no specific order on how to create all the elements, but I suggest that you start by creating learning outcomes, activities, assessments, and these included in achievements, and then achievements can be included in entitlements, and if you need accreditations, you also can have them. Don't forget to adjust your HTML to get a nicer front page. Um, Okay, jumping these. I think, Deborah, I think I'm just missing two more slides and then we can. Okay, on the link, on the an issue to finish, the web, the email you're going to receive once you get the credential will look like this. There you're going to get a link to the viewer and a JSON file that is attachment that you can upload to the viewer and then start using the credential. It's not as user-friendly as using the EDCI wallet at Europass CV, but it works as well. So I think I've shown all of these, and I think we just need to come to the final. So what you need to know beforehand, I've mentioned already a lot of stuff. Uh, First of all, it's of utmost importance, more than the ECL, get support from your administration, because without that you will hardly get an electronic seal, and without electronic seal things will not work. It's important that you are on page with your administration. They need to be on board, and they need to be also drivers of your process. Trust is much relevant in this process, so communication between all involved stakeholders is of utmost importance. Keep the channels open in order to avoid hiccups. Obviously, timely acquisition of electronic seal is mandatory. There is a lot of documentation. We are producing some how-to tutorials, uh, which in our opinion are a bit seen from the perspective of the users, so they don't have, let's say, the formality of those developing the software, but they have, let's say, the experience of those who had to fight some of the issues. Um, like I said, the support team is fantastic. Keep talking to them because they are fantastic. I've recently come to understand there is a Futurium group for EDC where you can share your experiences. The talks, the posts are still in small in number at the moment, but they are there. And if you'd like to get automated issuing of EDCs, you need to use the open source implementation of EDCI issuer in-house. So you need to develop some code. Not the end of the world, but it takes time. Limitations and challenges that we have identified. So digital credentials are not stored. This is an important step that I forgot to mention, and I would like to come back. Just to say, when you reach this point where you send the EDC to your clients, to your trainees, that if you close this window, you stop knowing which credentials you have issued. So you can export this CSV file that will have I'll try to open it, that will have the credentials you've issued. Okay, so in this case it has a new ID and who got it and if it was delivered. All right, so without, let's say, if you don't download the CSV file, you lose track of unless you note it by hand, of how many credentials and to whom they were issued. So this is obviously a limitation, because if you want to issue certificates, you would like to know who received it. So the reason why this limitation exists is for GPDR purposes. So to guarantee that the European Union does not collect personal data without consent. All right. Um, Another issue is that EDC templates are bound to individual accounts and environment. That means if you make a template in the playground, you cannot use it in the production environment. And if you make a template in your own individual account, you cannot share these with other people. So you cannot share the template. What you can do is you can produce the digital credentials, download the credentials, and send them to somebody else to sign it. But you will not be able to let's say, share the contents of elements. So this needs to be done manually all the times. I mean, when using the online credential builder. So the embedded ESCO skills, when we started, were not up to date. Now they are. More recently, we are still not completely, let's say, problem free, but it's very good at the moment. Like we said, research comms skills framework is not natively included. You need to include it in the description. Some of the documentation is sometimes incomplete, sometimes outdated. We have huge or interesting discussions with the support team, and obviously this is still an ongoing project. It's not a completely finished software. The documentation is also not completely finished, but the support is so good that you can always compensate with asking them directly the questions. And like I said, there were at the beginning some limitations on the fields of the metadata of the digital credentials that some of them have been overcome, others still not. It's not something, it doesn't prevent you from working, but it's sometimes an annoyance. And I think, Deborah, that's where I'm finished, and I give you now the floor. I'll stop sharing and you can share your screen.
Yeah, thank you, João. Thank you for the step-by-step tutorial. And so now we are opening the floor to your questions. As a reminder, you can, of course, submit the questions using Slido by scanning the QR code that I will show you once more shortly. Or if you prefer, you can even raise your hand and I will unmute you and you can ask directly your questions to João. As a disclaimer, for all the questions that we will not be able to address today for lack of time, hopefully we still have quite a good half an hour, so I think we should be able. But like if in the eventuality that we won't be, we will prepare FAQ document that will cover all the remaining queries, and we will share this document with you along with all the rest of the documentation from today's workshop. So I'm gonna share my screen so that you can view the Slido QR code once more. And I think we can start addressing the questions that we've started coming up so far. So a question that was asked during your tutorial was, does one need to be involved in an EU project to sign into a Europass and use the credential builder, or can university programs that are not related to EU projects also use the services and create EDCs?
Okay, that's very good questions. I think this will probably depend. So, like I said, the online credential builder is accessible as long as you have an European login. So anyone can do that. And you need the electronic seal. The electronic seals, I suspect they will probably be slightly different from country to country, but at least in Portugal, they are associated with a VAT number, right? So you need to be an institution. It cannot, we have VAT numbers that are, let's say, different for persons and different from legal institutions. And so they will be issued only to institutions, not to individuals. So as long as you get your, let's say, the representative or the legal representative or institution to sign the documents requesting the seal, you will get electronic seal, and then you can use the online credential builder individual. We didn't need to be associated with an EU project, and as far as I understand, the support team doesn't also really distinguish people within projects without projects. So
Okay.
my question is, no, you don't need to be associated, and you can do it even if you're not related to EU projects.
Awesome.
Can a project legally be an issuer? That's an interesting question. I'm not sure. I mean, if the consortium as exists as a legal institution, I think so. But I don't know any consortium that are that deep into legal as a legal person. I'm not even sure if these European university alliances are legal entities on their own. I suspect not. So
Mm-hmm.
I think my question is I don't know. My answer is I don't know, but I suspect the answer is not.
Okay. And actually, we had another vote
Okay.
question regarding the European University Alliance, whether they can be a legal entity to be an issuer. So,
Yeah, like I said, in our case, for example, what we had, so I'm going to into the particulars of the Portuguese case and the company that provided us the certificate. That is, we had to prove, so we had to request it formally by our legal representative, it was our dean in this case, and we had, if we were a company, there is something that is called a permanent certificate that you get on a notary. We don't have that because we are a public institution. So what we did, we shared our status where we say we are a public institution belonging to University of Porto, and that was enough. As I don't know if European university alliances are legal entities. I have no idea, so I can't answer that. But if you have a VAT, if they have a VAT number in one of the countries, I guess you can get it.
okay.
So can I answer the next question? How pricey is the electronic
Yes.
seal?
Yeah.
So again, I guess this will be country dependent. In our case, is for a 1 year license. It's like I think from 140 to maybe 200 euros. So negligible costs, I would say, for an
Mm-hmm.
institution. Yes, I gave you an example. I didn't put. I actually I had one slide with the costs, but I decided not to share because this video will go onto YouTube, and I didn't want to get to, let's say, into some situations I might not get know how to get out of them. Do you tend to do a digital credential for all courses you deliver? Do you think this will be a direction to go? That's a fantastic question, and that's the $1 million question at the moment. So the agreement I had with the rector teams and the executive board of my faculty is we are going to issue only credentials for the courses developed during this project, and always to trainees that receive the traditional paper certificate, and then we get the digital credential as a pilot afterwards. That means we are seeing this as an experiment, not as the way to go immediately. So no, we are not delivering to everybody, only to the particular set of students that attended DocTalent4EU project courses.
Mm-hmm.
Can
Okay.
EDCI be installed locally in the institution? What are pros and cons? Can EDCI issue and view be installed locally in the institution? Yes. And what are the pros and cons? Actually, we don't have experience, but I see Ignacio Bravo, Nacho from Alcalá is here, and they have installed them. Nacho can send me per WhatsApp maybe any completions if to do the if I don't answer correctly. But what is first of all, if you have it installed on your own in-house, you control all the process. You can directly connect your information system into EDCI issuer and using an API, and then issue automatically the credentials, so you don't need to go through this online troublesome. So you can also use a so-called, now I forgot the name, but it's a HRM, I think. So there is a hardware that you can have the credential on installed on a computer in your house, so you don't need to use a card. So everything is read automatically. So this is fantastic. I think what is the cons? First of all, you need to have an IT team to support that and to install that. And second of all, I think the major contra will be any update to EDCI issuer, you need to update your software as well. And since this is not, let's say, a finished product that is constantly being updated, that will be means that you possibly are not always on the latest version of the EDCI issuer.
Mm-hmm.
Which type of organizations can issue credentials? Is it possible for civil society organizations to issue for short training sessions? I would say so. I think I don't know. I think this question, which type of organizations can issue digital credentials? Is it possible for civil society organizations to issue EDCs for short training sessions? I think this is a legal question more than anything. As long as you have a VAT number and you can provide you are an institution, you can get a certificate here in Portugal. These are certificates similar, for example, in Portugal to issue invoices or have electronic digit signatures as an institution in your documents. And I think the main question behind, or let's say, I would say the implicit question in yours is who can, let's say, certify short training sessions? Universities can, for example, VAT providers can, but can a company issue a short training session? I mean, you can probably issue the digital credential. If it has any legal value, is a different situation that you need to address differently, because the question here is who is allowed to certify that someone has acquired skills, and that's not something that any institution can do. Just for clarification, are EDCs a form of micro credentials? Where is it? Okay, I can give you my personal view of these, what a micro credential is. So I would say first of all, micro credential is still quietly loose. It's not, let's say, there is a broad definition. For example, it says is a small volume of learning. What is a small volume of learning? Nobody defined. For us, it would be something like less than 60 CTS credits. I know some institutions that I have called micro credentials something with 15 credits points. So and I think even I saw one with 30, but that's an extreme. So I think micro credentials have two components, or three main components. All right. So the first one is a small volume learning. So it's a short course or a training, a small training. So it's anything that would be semester wise. I would say it's not small. So a semester of training, I would.
João? Can you start talking again? No, we cannot hear.
Okay, sorry,
Now, yes, now it's back.
my headset is getting old. So a micro credential is a small volume learning, so it's a short course. The other issue is you have this idea of digital credential. In my opinion, is implicitly included in the definition of micro-credential by European Union. And another thing that is still far away from being reached is this stackability. The idea that if you join a set of, let's say, 30 credit points in 6 or 5 small credentials, you join them and get an entitlement or get a compensation recognition within a semester of a master program or a bachelor program, for example. So I think digital credentials is a tool that implicitly is supposed to exist on a micro credential according to the European Union.
Okay. So for now, we haven't received any new questions on Slido. If you have any other doubts or like need for clarification or just share maybe your experience, if there are also people among the audience that are already issuing credentials, just feel free to do so. You can raise your hand on Zoom and I can unmute you so you can have a chance to talk. I would just leave it a few more seconds in case there are any other like last minute question or doubts or requests that come to mind. If not, then I would move towards the end of the webinar. Yes, there we have a raised hand. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Lara.
Hey, nice to meet you. Thank you for the presentation and answering of the questions. I was curious about how many universities or how many institutions are already using EDC. Do you have like an approximate feeling for it, or? share?
I'm not sure. I think
Mhm.
not a big number. I think we listed like 4 or 5 projects already using them, but even within a project consortium, it's not very uniform. For example, we are 7 institutions, and only 2 so far have successfully finished this process, although 3 more will join us soon. So I would say it's definitely less than that I know of, less than 50, but I'm wild guessing, to be very honest.
Thank
It's
you.
not very big. It's not very big at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's still a good answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.